the one that stands out. Early June this year, which was strange. We had a lot of mid-90s throughout the Midwest. Michigan saw it, Indiana saw it, Illinois, Ohio. We saw a lot of bleeding up in Kosciuszko County. You may know that they had to completely redo a chip sealed road because of the heat that they experienced. It was a state route, which was sealed with a polymerized asphalt. You guys use AA90, which does not contain polymer. Polymer certainly helps to eliminate bleeding, and even that suffered in that heat wave up north. And the other one would be humidity and moisture. The spring was extremely wet in a lot of areas. Coming out of a spring with a huge heat wave like we saw, it is not uncommon to experience steam stripping. And with the low area, with the high water signs, I would expect that a lot of that road had a lot of moisture in and around it. And so when the heat rises as much as it did for that week stretch, you can experience steam stripping. So that could contribute. The reason I'm confident eliminating the middle three, over application of binder and inadequate curing time, well, those two, is because Central Paving has done this throughout the state for various counties, and we have not seen a lot of this in areas that are more conducive to chip seal. We were not brought in to consult on whether or not the areas that were being chip sealed through community crossings would be something that we would recommend. We were just submitted, hey, we want to do this, and that's what we did. We used our liquid asphalt, and their crew dropped the chips in the stone.
Now, just a question
Sure.
for that. But if you bid the project, wouldn't you look at the scope of the work and see, I mean, that seemed like a little bit of a stretch as far as.
I did not bid the project. I just bid the supply of the emulsion that was used in the project.
Okay,
What's your question specifically?
so like he just mentioned that you guys didn't go out and look at the job before it was bid?
I don't know,
Oh, you did?
I know,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, understood.
Yeah, we've got a request for a bid for double layer chip and seal.
Mhm.
And I went out and looked at this road. Personally, it probably could have used a little more prep work. As in my opinion, there was could have used like some wedge and leveling, or evening it out a little. But this was the continuation, I think, of community crossing money that was not used the year before with the superintendent that's not there anymore. And so we continued on. This was, he picked this project, and we went out and is it a candidate for a double chip and seal? And that's what we did. It was what the highway superintendent specified. So I went out and looked at it and made sure everything I thought was okay. I'm not looking at the water table of the surrounding area and stuff like that. And I think when we had that call, I mentioned, it was 95 degrees, humidity. This is the first hot weather this road has seen since it was done. And there's been a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse conditions for bleeding and stuff. I said, you give this time, it'll be fine.
More time than now, you're saying, to make it?
It'll bleed, it will stop. It will stop.
Well, if you guys don't mind, Rachel, you want to add in your perspective from what you're seeing at the highway?
So chip seal, definitely bleeds off in certain spots. I've never seen it to a complete 2.5 miles. That's unusual for the whole segment of the roadway to bleed like it is. Central Paving makes our cold mix, like they do an amazing job with our cold mix. And with chip and seal. But I think in this whole scenario, it may have been done a little too late in the year. I did call quite frequently to try to get it done like in August and last year, and it didn't get done until I believe the end of September. So that was a little late for my liking. And then on the day that they started, and Scott, you may not, because I know you weren't out there every day that they started, but on the day that they just started this particular road, it was raining. And I don't even know if that has a, I mean, I'm not educated enough to know if that has a factor. I just know you really can't do chip seal in rain. But I was out there when they started this road and it was raining. It wasn't a downpour, but it was raining. But other than that, I absolutely love your work.
Well, I give you a little history of Central Paving. I've been employed here for 15 years. The reason I came on was a big reason is I have a strong chip and seal background. And I hate to say it, but I've been doing it for 38 years. And, you know, we have 5 different counties that we every year regularly do their chip and seal program for them. There's going to be a bleed. There's going to be a, you know, we've done over 80 miles of chip and seal for Stark County in the last couple of years. And I think I kind of touched on that with you, Mike, is if you're seeing a 2-mile stretch out of 80 when it's 95 degrees out and there's bleeding roads everywhere and the state roads are almost bleeding, that's not bad, in my opinion. So I really believe it'll cure out and it'll be just fine. You know, I've seen it where it pulls up, like the asphalt is chunking up and creating potholes. I've seen really bad situations, and as far as our workmanship, you know, just right, if something was wrong that we did, I'm trying to think, is it 1100 or 1150?
It was 11:50 right next.
I mean, that road's fine. I mean, we did that all in the same time frame. It's just the road conditions. You cannot blame the contractor when a mile down the road it's fine. We did all that, and I think we did it one day and then we turned around and did the exact same thing the next day, if I remember right. So
Yeah, it only took 2 or 3 days.
I mean, if there was something wrong with the workmanship or the materials, wouldn't you think the whole job would be, something would be wrong with the whole job?
I don't have the experience you got, but I personally think there's something bad wrong with this, because it's just that stretch. And like you say, all the other roads, I mean, you can go with all the roads you've done around this county and they're fine.
Yeah,
This one's horrible.
it was just,
Have you been out on it?
oh, absolutely, yes. I've drove it twice since Rachel made me aware of it. I met her out there the one time. The first thing I noticed driving that road is, the eastbound traffic and the westbound traffic are sharing that where it's bleeding the most. And it's bleeding and then tracking and then bleeding and tracking. So that if you look, not everything, but a lot of that is tracking on down the road from a bad spot onto the, you know what I mean, onto the.
And I think they're sharing it because they're trying to get out of the oil.
Well, no, I mean, the main bleeding is right in the middle. So that eastbound tire and then that westbound tire. But yeah, if they're straddling it, obviously, but I think the traffic has beat that. And you see that conditions everywhere that, you know, we have a detour down by our plant and, it's construction traffic. It's bleeding worse than yours. And it was done last August, I'd say, somewhere in there. And it was from the heavy traffic, the added extra traffic on it, you know, so. I guess my standpoint is, you know, we have a 2-mile stretch there out of, I don't know what it is, 8 or 10 miles. Nothing else is bad. It's just that one stretch through that wet area through there. That's my opinion.
That's what's weird to me. I mean, you got all that done and it's all perfect, but this one,
Mhm.
I just think there's something wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think it has anything to do with the conditions, the ground conditions being wet, because there's some sand hills that road goes over. So if it was moisture bleeding up from underneath, it wouldn't be the same all the way up and over these sand hills. I'm with Donnie. There's something up with that 2 miles of road. And I appreciate everything you guys do. I do think you do a good job, and Rachel thinks you guys do a great job. But there is something not right with this 2 miles of road. And at its peak, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago, if you drove down the road, the rocks were just peeling up as you were driving. Rachel's come out, I'm gonna say maybe 4 times, and put sand on it to help soak some of that up, and then that sticks to vehicles and gets flung off the road. And on the sides of that stretch of road, there's a berm of sand or a berm of rocks. It's probably this wide and this tall on both sides of the road. So something is not adhering properly. Um, I'm not blaming your material by any means, but I'm with Donnie. There is something not right with the way this road was conducted in some way, and maybe not workmanship, maybe it was the weather. But I guess in my opinion, I'm looking for a solution as to what you folks can offer to fix this situation. Cause I really don't feel it's the taxpayer's responsibility to in some way fix the road that we contracted out just not even 12 months ago.
And you don't think capping over it with some 11s or smaller or something gonna help?
Honestly, I think that's just probably adding fuel to the fire, so to speak, to do more. Like I said, if you give it time, the road is not pulling up and falling apart. There's not chunks coming up. You know, yeah, you're getting a little gravel here and picking up. Just because of the tar, but it will cure out and it will be fine. When it didn't pull up chunks back when it was 95 degrees, I was made aware of this. If there's not stuff, it's just that moisture is pushing that oil to the surface, and then it's getting tracked on down the road, and it will. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll cure out and it'll be a good road. It just needs a little time to get that water out of there, pushed out of that road.
I think we need to do something. I mean, it's all over people's cars. I think something needs done to it. And like I said, not that I don't trust you guys. I mean, I love you guys, but there's something wrong. I don't know what we can do to fix it or what we can.
I think as of right now, I think it'd be best to just let it sit, like Scott said, and see where it goes. We do believe it's going to stop at some point. We've seen this throughout year, job after job. We've seen when this does happen, that it will stop. If it starts to chunk like Scott says, might be, try to figure something else out. But I think we would like just play the waiting game a little bit. That's what we would like to do.
I don't think that's acceptable. That's just my opinion. I'm just one vote, but I don't see that being an acceptable answer when we have taxpayers calling us wondering what's going on with the road and why their vehicles are covered in this stuff. I don't think that'd sit very well if I told them that on the phone that, oh, we're just gonna wait and see how it goes. I just don't see that sitting well with taxpayers.
Well, we're not talking a week or nothing, right? I mean, we might be talking 6 months yet. Or till winter, till it freezes.
Ben, what's your opinion on that?
What exactly is the question? How long we're gonna wait to
Yeah.
make a determination? I mean, from everything they've said, and I agree with it all, the road is holding together.
But it's the top, my opinion. I mean, it's the top, the road, yeah, and like I say, it's not like you guys really did nothing wrong, but something didn't adhere right. There's too much oil.
It's that moisture.
Right.
that's Pushing up, that's in there, that's not in the other roads, that's pushing up. Just bringing that oil to the top.
And I,
That's why we're seeing this in this particular instance, this 2 mile stretch out of, um,
but like Mike was saying, I mean, if it was the low holes or whatever, I could see that, but even the worst part of it, I believe is on the sand. Where the road goes.
And then even the crossroad that you folks did that's holding up well, it's the same ground. And that road's holding up fine, but Total
That's
Road,
awesome.
yeah, Total Road is not. And I know you're saying bleeding, but when you walk across this road and seeing what's happened over the last few weeks and the pile of stone that's on the sides of the road, to me, it seems like a lot of the stone is just not sticking. And like I said, when you drove across it initially, the rocks were just peeling right up.
was that last year?
No, that was 3 or 4 weeks ago
When the temperature was up at
when it
95.
started. Yeah,
Yeah, when that temperature went, through the roof, like, Ben is telling you about that, is that number one or number two?
number one is the high temperatures, high summer temperature.
Right,
In
we,
Indiana.
we had the same high summer temperatures on the other roads. With that moisture and that high temperature, that's what creates that oil to come up to the top. Those are just like, that's just how it occurs. That's how we see this bleeding occur. Those are I don't feel that, the workmanship, as far as the chips, the material, I think all that stuff is very consistent. Our application is very consistent. We've got top equipment, we have, we monitor it, and that's why you didn't see anything wrong with the road until these temperatures hit and that moisture, everything came up in that particular road. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating for the highway people. Like, if you talk to Kosciuszko County about their roads and the ones that bleed, you can talk to Fulton County, you can talk to Alaska
I
County.
mean, I made mention of that when I go, you could call any county around you right now and they're gonna have a bleeding road somewhere. And that's counties we don't even work in. That's just nature of the beast when it gets to be 95 degrees and 100% humidity. In my feeling, it like almost gets back to that application temperature, so to speak. It really warms that stuff up, and of course you have the great evaporation of the water coming out of the road, side ditches, wherever, and that water's coming up. A lot of that you see is actually water is pushing that oil. It's what, floating it, Ben? Is that?
I mean, it's stripping it off the rock and basically forcing it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, water and oil don't mix. So when water is trying to get out, it forces that stuff to the top. And it does it in a way that is difficult for a lot of people to comprehend, but it is a force when we experience really high heat and moisture. And it doesn't have to be standing water. It could just be moist, ground. It doesn't take a whole lot to do this, and that's the nature of chip seal. It is an imperfect, product. We do have issues from time to time. That is understood within the industry. What you're experiencing on Toto, to Kurt's point, super frustrating. But to point fingers, I don't think is helpful, and I don't think it's accurate. And I want to be fair. And, as an AMI rep, not anything to do with central paving, I will work with Rachel if you guys want to do something to readdress the road, but I want you guys to understand, I don't think it's gonna help. We need to do, if you really want to get this road dealt with in a way that's going to deal with the problem, you need to get the drainage remedied, and you also need to build the road up a little bit. The profile of the road is sitting low. That's why you have the high water signs. Sitting water on roadways is detrimental in and of itself without any of what we're describing. I know that's not the answer that you guys want to hear, but that is the truth of the matter in my experience.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, when you guys bid the job or whatever, why wasn't that brought to our attention, that this might happen?
So when Dan Diaper was the previous guy here, it was my understanding that you guys were using an engineering firm to help with community crossings. Okay. So there's a lot of parties involved here making this assessment. In our experience, or in my experience, when we're asked to do a community crossings project, I'm asked to bid the material. Scott is asked to bid the work. He's not asked to critique, analyze, or any of that. And we won't. So I guess maybe, what I would say is an engineering firm helped come up with the bid specs for the project that was being aligned. NDOT funded it. We came out and we did what we were asked to do. Anything short of that I would take responsibility for, but we did everything that was asked. That again, I want to be a good partner.
Do agree with that portion of it. I mean, he did use an engineer. It's an engineer that we no longer use, a consultant that we no longer use. But that consultant should have caught that. The road, I mean, they should have caught that
Right.
work. That's what they do. That's what we pay them to do.
Well, even I'll add, we mentioned that, I don't know how you said it, then imperfect. In the state specs, NDOT, when we're doing a hot mix asphalt road, it calls for so much of this and so much of that, like say 1.5 inches of surface. In the NDOT book for specs for chip and seal, it's ranges. So when we go out there, we have to make the assessment, let's say like a single layer of 11s. It's a certain range for the oil, application of the oil. It's, 0.32 to 0.4, maybe gallons per square yard,
Up to
something like.
0.45.
Yeah, so even in state specs, it's a range. And so then we just go out there with our experience and it's like, okay, well, here's the starting point. We'll start at so many gallons per square yard and so many pounds of stone per square yard. And you are constantly adjusting that due to the conditions on the road. It's if it's an oily stretch of road, I tell my guys, hey, lighten up the application of the oil. Try to, have this bleeding occur, if so, that's where I say adding fuel to the fire would be my opinion. And then even on the stone application, it's 18 to 22 on a layer of 11s. We start out at 20. Sometimes we can go down to 19 or 18 on a hot and humid day. You're over that just because you cannot keep it from tracking. So you're actually putting a little more stone on because of the temperature conditions and everything. I mean, the humidity in the air is a big deal with chip and seal. So, we're in this range, and obviously we did that road in this range of state specs. So that's where it's just not an exact, it's like saying lay 1.5 inches of hot mix down or something. It is a range that we work within.
May I say what I would like to see at minimum?
Yeah.
I'd like to put crushed limestone down, throughout the whole 2.5 miles. And if they can pay for the aggregate and we can do the work, that's my number.
Could you be more specific on that, Rachel, as far as?
Want to put crushed limestone down the whole segment, rather than keep putting sand over and over again. But I'd like you guys to possibly pay for the aggregate and.
Well, we had talked about, using, I kind of recommended 12s or 13s, whatever, is more available in this area for you guys. Your stone source, but 12s would be ideal. And roll them in. And you may have to do that more than once, obviously, till it bleeds out, cures out.
I think limestone would,
You think,
secure better.
Scott, do you think that will create some chunking with doing that process?
No,
Okay,
no, I don't.
Right. Should be
because that,
in it now.
that's what we don't want to have happen. We
Right,
don't want to
right.
have these layers start peeling up.
Right.
Because seen it.
We've seen it.
Dump truck.
Right.
pull-
I
big
don't have
dumps
the
that are-
experience you got, 'cause I mean, nothing, but.
Yeah, and I got Rachel, I said, the best thing is probably running some limestone stone if she still had a salt spreader on. And just go through there with, that's Pulaski County. I had talked with him and he was like dealing with bleeding roads in every part of his county during that heat spell. And he said one of them was a town had a green elevator and they're deciding to haul corn out of the elevator to wherever. And just there again, the heat, humidity, the extra traffic. And so, he was like very understanding, and he even offered up, if you would like to talk to him, he offered up, I'll gladly have a talk with him about bleeding roads because we deal with them every year and they do their own work, so.
All right.
So even if it's laying down 12s, they pay, at least offering and pay for the aggregate.
Well, Donnie, if you don't mind, we got 3 people out here. Is there any public comments on any of this? Great.
I mean, like you said, it's a range, so I mean, whatever the conditions were at the time, I mean, maybe it was just not ideal, you know what I mean? And that for that stretch, that time, the humidity, that day, maybe it just wasn't ideal and because like you said, all the roads around it, intersecting it are not having the problem, so.
Well, then our highway superintendent said it was raining the day that they were doing Total Road, which if humidity is a factor, I would think rain and having a damp road would be a problem.
And so the
You would
material
see-
wet,
you would
it's
see,
hard to
uh,
stick to it.
You would see a deterioration of the road the following day from the rain and the wet road, not a year later. There's no correlation between those two at all. No correlation.
Yeah, this road would have failed before the winter time hit. If it was too wet for the emulsion to cure out, it would have been a much different problem and a much clearer.
Well, this road has always looked different than 1150. Even. to
Was it a
that-
bleeder before?
Not at like it is now,
No.
but
But would
there
you
was-
rate it as a higher,
than normal.
Than normal?
Yes.
okay.
But
That's,
yeah, it definitely looked much different than 1150. The weeks later, a month later, Mike, you traveled every day. Did you see those patchy spots?
Yeah, and I know before my time here, you had a lot of complaints about Total Road after it was done.
Everybody just said it didn't look right, so I kept going out there. Definitely not what it is now, but it did have patchy spots in it.
Would it make any sense to hire a non-biased consultant to come out and make a recommendation as to how we can move forward with this road? And would that cost us a lot of money?
It probably cost about between $10,000 and $20,000.
I'd rather see them supply the limestone for us and get something covered just so
Or
Oh,
12. They think
or
12
whatever,
work better.
yeah, whatever you guys come up with or Scott or whatever, but
Yeah,
I think we need to put something over the top of this.
my only concern is their concern of putting stone on it seemed to be. Could result in more problems,
Right.
is what they had mentioned earlier in the conversation. So if we're gonna go about trying to do something to move forward with it, I just wanna make sure we're going down the right path.
I think our position was if we put more oil and chip on it, not just chips.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what I think, and I thought that's what you. touched on.
Right, and you're,
Just a thin layer and then roll it in, we at least have some cover.
and you know, in all honesty, you live out there, you can tell me, but it's probably, if you did that first thing in the morning, I mean, the heat of the day towards the afternoon, I'm sure that's when it's getting the stickiest. So if you're gonna come in and do this, do like this application first thing on a cool morning, where you're not at the chance to damage the road. You know, I have talked to Rachel about it. I'm like, you know, throw some chips on it, roll it, put in. It may take more than once to do that. I said, you know, you do that a couple of times and in my experience, like you said, the stone on the sides of the roads, you know, maybe you don't have to take the truck out there after a couple of times of doing this. You just take the broom and broom that kicked off stone to the middle and then roll that back in there and it will calm down.
And my only concern with that was in talking to commissioners, we don't have that aggregate at the garage. We'd have to purchase the aggregate, which then gets into the weeds of, well, we're, using taxpayer money to,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
The trucking of it, the trucking's huge.
Sure.
Do you guys have anybody on your crew that can come out and do a core or anything to try to help get a better evaluation? Of some ideas? Yeah, I mean, we're just all kind of throwing out ideas, but I guess I'd like to know more, how should we move forward, the best case scenario for the taxpayer?
So I can talk to the research group. So Asphalt Materials is a subsidiary of Heritage, the Heritage Group. We do have a research arm there. I worked there for a while learning about this industry, and I would be happy to offer that if we're going to be able to determine anything. I'll tell you this right now, just my inclination is coring it will not allow us to tell anything. But I'm happy to take that back. And if it is something that you are interested in and that we believe will get us more answers, because I do think that there is a lot of unknowns here. And to shoulder the blame on the contractor, the supplier, even the highway department, anybody, like this is not anybody's fault. This is something that happens. I'm happy to offer whatever, but I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste anybody else's time. And what you are experiencing is not unregular in chip seals, especially with the road that I drove, Toto Road, and the various things that are going on there. I mean, you're describing cross sections that are completely perfect, or not perfect, but they're all adhering and they all are standing up. There could be things beneath this road that you are unaware of, we are unaware of. There's just a lot of variables here, and I don't think that. I think getting to a resolution is what we need to do, but I'm not sure how we get there if we're gonna do a bunch of stuff when we already had an engineering firm whose job it was to recommend these roads to the county. They have all that stuff at their fingertips. They have the Heritage Research Group at their fingertips. We have great relationships with them. I've got to believe they did their due diligence when they were recommending these roads to your highway department.
The Heritage Research Group is actually a huge research facility in Indianapolis. I visited there for a day and it's very impressive. I would like that, and I can talk to the consultant that we use now. And they may come out there and look at it and do an assessment, at no charge, because I use them on many projects.
I just want to make sure that if we do anything, we're moving in a direction that everybody agrees on.
Dropping stone over the top is by far the most practiced thing within Indiana for bleeding roads. That is not out of the ordinary. That that is absolutely something that's done all the time.
How soon could your department get out there and do something like that?
Well, we don't have 12s, so we have to have the 12s hauled in. I'd have to figure out how much tonnage that would be for 2.5 miles. And so let's just say 2 days of hauling in the material, and then I need to get my chipper ready, because we weren't planning on chip sealing this year. So I'd have to have that looked over.
Could you do like Scott was saying with just the sand spread?
Well, I think limestone is more, I don't know if you're talking about, are you talking about running the 12s through the chipper or the sander?
I think if you're gonna run it, I think that's way too much.
Through the
honestly.
chipper,
Through the chip box,
so
yeah.
just a sander?
I would think, you would get a great result with your sander and just you don't, honestly, we don't need to do the whole road. You only need to, let's just say the center 10 foot
We still roll it after that?
and definitely roll it, yes.
Okay, so hauling the material and then, getting my rubber tire roller ready.
And like I said, it may take a couple times through this season before it'll settle down. It will settle down and you'll have a fine road out there.
And then my only thing with that is if we could get help with paying for the 12s, that would be nice, because I'm already pretty tight as it is, and that's an aggregate I wouldn't normally use.
I think
But-
we would be willing to. We would be willing to throw that into the pot, Central Paving would. I think based on what we have presented you with. Everything we've said. I think that is our solution for this, as far as an ending
Right.
with this whole thing. If we could agree upon that, I would be willing to supply the chips to help that road out. If you guys do all the material, would you be able to possibly come down to Cass County if I can get some chips and 12s down there? You guys just come down and get it,
Yeah.
and then you can take it directly to the road.
Yep.
That way it's not getting dropped off, picked up, and you guys you can get it when you want it.
Yep. Yeah, I can do that.
Should be.
But I do want you guys to feel like, at the end of this meeting, I want you to feel good about us. Because we appreciate you guys.
And we got nothing against you guys. We're just looking for a solution,
Sure.
That's my opinion. I'm not no expert
Yeah.
or whatever, but if we can cover it, just to help people that drive, I don't drive that road, but. Few
A
times
lot of
a year.
people do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we can get it covered where we ain't get complaints of that gentleman there, that I've seen him pull a big fancy pickup, Won't be paying for that pickup and driving down that road. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Cap it somehow.
I think what you're gonna find is if you're able to talk to a consultant or even revisit the consultant that looked at the job before, I think you're gonna find that they are probably gonna say, probably not a candidate for chip and seal. This road is probably not a candidate for chip and seal based on some of these conditions we might have missed.
Yeah.
Pug would be probably a good cheap recommendation as opposed to the chip. I think just looking at the road in its current condition, I can tell that it was pretty rough when we did it. And I'll be honest, I didn't look at it before we chipped it. But I asked Scott, I said, how bad is this road? It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And
Oh, I mentioned that earlier too. I said it could have used a little
some more wedging.
work before, but there again, that was
Right.
changeovers in administration.
Well, and when you're dealing with community crossings, changing the scope of the job is not
Oh, yeah.
not something that's done. And so the money has already been allocated, the engineer's already given their opinion, and that's why I really want you to understand that Scott and I will go out and look at roads when we're just working directly with the county, and we will give our 2 cents on whether or not, because we don't want to be in this position. So, I think, yeah, everybody, we like Stark County, we enjoy working with you guys, we really like the community, we just want to be a good partner.
And I don't
And
think
it
there's
sounds like
anybody
we're
really
getting-
blaming you guys, I'm kind of
We
want a
just-
solution.
we
you
need a
know,
solution.
for
Sure.
tax-
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So could you call some folks and see how soon they could come out and possibly do an evaluation, hopefully at minimal cost, if any. And once we get that part done, we can start moving forward with getting some stone, but maybe that'll give us some answers, moving forward.
Get my event ready for a meeting.
Okay.
And Rachel, I'd be more than happy to come up, obviously, when you start doing this.
I would appreciate
And
it.
give you some
Because we're
guidance.
Still getting the stone out of the bin or the Sandberg yet, that'll be a new event.
You can use a chip box.
But I know.
If you wanted to go that route, I'd be more than happy to, because, I've seen that done too.
Oh,
Just really
maybe
lighten
on
up
the vetting.
Yeah, right, really lighten up the
Yeah.
applications, and you gotta go really fast because of the speed radar and everything. That's where I'm saying it's probably a little easier with a salt spreader and just,
You just come up in the morning.
Yeah,
you got it. You got it.
and I'm happy to join, so.
Did you bring breakfast, please?
I'm happy to do. Yeah.
Okay, any other public comment on this? Rachel, do you have anything?
Y'all live right on that road, or?
We drive Total Road all the time.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Can't leave our house without hitting Total Road.
Yeah. Sure.
But there was a couple of weeks when it kind of started where it was almost bad to even drive down it because stuff was
Oh.
flinging everywhere.
I understand.
It was really bad.
At the sand hill.
Completely understand.
The sand has helped dry it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems to. But is it gonna last?
No, it,
When Rachel's contacting whoever you want her to, what if they're gonna be involved before we get out there?
oh, they won't. They'll be out there early next.
Oh,
week.
okay, that's what I'm saying, will they be able to get out there right
Yep.
away? Okay.
Yep. I'm very confident in that.
So what do you think, Scott, start with 2 truckloads, 3 truckloads, like I say?
Going through a sander, I would say, yeah, like 2 tandems,
Oh, yeah.
2 tandem loads, we'll start, and obviously if it takes more than that, we'll help you out.
So, yeah, that'd be perfect.
You have a truck with a sander still on it?
Well, I have 2 new internationals that are coming next week that have a double auger system and the sander that is gonna be on it when it's delivered.
There you go.
So we're gonna use those.
Yeah,
Finally
you good.
getting them,
Try them out.
we're finally getting,
Finally get them. Yep, very excited.
so call me when you gotta do this.
Okay, well,
2 new internationals.
Emily will call you.
Now, should
She,
they broom it or
you got my
anything,
number.
any type of
I
prep
don't know.
before they start this process? Cause there is sand
No.
kind of dumped on it right now.
I don't think, it's probably stuck, be my guess. It's
Actually,
probably-
it flings up with the stuff. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. It absorbs a little bit and then it'll just track with your tires. So
I wouldn't do anything. I'd
Yeah.
throw some stone down on it and we'll roll it in, and obviously not all that's gonna stick. That's where you're gonna get the excess kicked off to the sides. Where, after a couple applications, you may just run the broom and broom that loose back to the middle where the problem lies.
And the day we go out there, I can just bring the roller, the broom, just in case you change your mind and you see a spot that needs broom, and just have the equipment out
Sure.
there ready, just in case.
Sure.
Great. Anything else, Don?
No, I think I'm good, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you
guys.
coming in today.
Thank you.
Glad it all worked out.
Sorry. Yeah.
Got a lot of schedules to coordinate here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Good meeting.
Thank you, Scott.
You got it.
Thank you.
While you guys are here.
Anything else?
Welcome. Anything from the public?
Yeah, so in Little Shores, last year, they started with,
So she's done, Rachel, you got a question?
So, last year you guys started, Boa Shores,
Yes.
it was gonna be a third.
Yeah, in three sections, so, this year. There was a lot of frost thaw that really blew up our roadways, and it blows up our roadways, because the pavement's not thick enough as it is on the roadway. I couldn't get Bower Shores into the plan this year, I can put the second phase of Bow Shores into the plan next year, and as long as the commissioners approve that, I really wanted to get out there for the second phase this year. I just couldn't neglect the roads that would really damage a vehicle if traveled.
Okay, and does it have to be done in the fall? Or can it be
No,
done in the
so
spring?
we did it in the fall, we had trouble with our pug mill that first year that we did it. So normally, we'll make the pug in May, and then we'll start paving, June first, which we did that this year. We started paving beginning of June this year. So it would be at the earliest beginning of June,
Next year,
yes.
okay. And when would that be decided? You said you have to bring it.
We'll go through the paving plan, probably in their February meeting
Okay,
next year.
and since we lost out on this year, that would be like higher on the priority list? I would hope.
That'd be,
We can try that. We won't promise, but we can try
it's
it.
not, so the second.
Because we did tell you that we, like
Yes.
Rachel said, we had a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I guess I should have come out in one of your meetings and explained it all, but we did tell you it's 3 years.
Phase of Bower Shores, it's only like a mile,
Yeah.
so I don't see any problem with getting that in there.
Okay.
Might have to get over one of your neighbors, the one just kept driving on every new road they were doing last time. They didn't get the road by, honestly.
We did have a lot of good experience with it.
Right.
The crew had water brought out to them and
Right.
they had nice.
Messing with,
There's one person we had it off.
yeah,
Yeah, we talked about that.
right.
Yes. Keep them from the meetings too, hopefully.
But all you got.
Yeah, but then.
Thank you.
Adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel.
I go, or do you need anything?
Oh, I need to go.
Oh, you need.
I need a lot of things.
Great. Jen, okay, so while Jen's here, Workman's comp, if somebody does get.
Sorry, Don.
Fine.
Normally, we'll call it a message. But EMS will come out there and set their injury, before they get sent to the hospital doctors.
Got time, Brad.
It's
There's a whole